Okay, hello folks. I'm going to start carrying on with my spider crab. So where we left off last time, I'd made the decision to switch from this. Well, actually, you can't really see it particularly well now because it's covered up by the new stuff. But I had these extra bits of geometry that I was using to model the frilly bits around the front of the crab, and I decided to attempt to extrude it from the actual model itself, from the base mesh. So that's what I did, and I achieved a reasonable approximation of what I was after, so that's not too bad, but there's a bit of fine-tuning I want to do here before I move on. Later on in the stream I hope to also add a bit more interest around the face area, because the spider crabs have a sort of it's not just a flat face here. They've got some stuff going on under here as well. So if I can do something about that, maybe add some little sockets down here for where the eyes sort of these bits here where the eyes can dock, as it were, when they're cleaning or whatever it is that spider crabs do when they clean their eyes. You see them sort of popping their eyes in and out. Well, all crabs do that to a certain degree. So yeah, I'm going to try and see. This is not great, this bit here. I'd like to tidy this up, make it maybe a bit closer to what's going on over here, and then maybe do a bit more stuff to this bit to try and bring that out to make an additional horn there. So let's see what we can do. What's the best plan here? I don't really know, to be honest. Have we got? You know what I haven't done? I haven't started my. There we go. The display of the keys that I'm using. So perhaps moving this back a little and adding. I think what I'm going to do actually is split this one here to create an additional area of that I can connect to. So I'm going to join this one and this one, and I'm going to get rid of this one, dissolve edge, and then I'm going to dissolve this one as well, and I'm going to reconnect from here to here. I think that's probably going to work. So that's going to enable me to add a little bit of additional. Let's move this as well slightly along there. That means I'm going to be able to split this. What I want to do is split this along here so that I can then basically do the same here as I did here, and create a slightly rounder looking prong at the front. So I might also, split across here as well, so that I can do what I've done here, and just make it a little bit extra geometry there. So let's do that. Let's split these. I'm going to do it all the way around. All the way around here, I think. W subdivide. There we go. That means I can probably join those two definitely there. And what I might do is move this one along a bit to there. It's made that look a bit weird because I moved it whilst in a strange view, so not recommended. And I might just slide this along, Control E, edge slide, move that along there, pull that back a little, do the same here, edge slide, move that along to even that up a little, and that's going to enable me to just push that back in a little bit and maybe pull it up a smidge. I think I need to join this as well here. You don't really want a loose vertex hanging around. There we go. It's looking a little better. I've got a distorted quad here. I might just leave that as it is for the time being. I'd like to shrink that down a little. And I think I'm going to shrink this down as well. So that's neatening up a little. I might also move this edge just down a little. Oops, not that one, this one. There we go. Right, so now I've got some space here. I can do what I've done here and split these guys. So in fact, I need to redo the bottom as well. I've failed to do that. So let's do Control 7 to go into underside view, and then I'm going to move this. Where shall I move it to? This side or the other side? Let's move it to there, and then I can split this one, dissolve this one, and we should be good. W subdivide there to there, join, dissolve that edge. What have we got here? This one. Perhaps I don't really want. So let's see what I've done. What have I done there then? Ah, interesting. This may be a little bit different to what I've done on the top. So in fact, let's just tidy this up slightly. Pull these up a little. Woo, didn't want to do that. Pull those up. This one a bit more perhaps. So yeah, I need to tidy this up a little. This loop here, I think what I'm going to do is dissolve this one. I'm going to pull this one forwards quite a bit. I may not even need. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dissolve this one, that vertex. Join these two together with J. I'm going to move this vertex a little because it could do with being a little bit more evenly spread. There we go. And then I think I'm in a decent situation here. I can now join this one and this one. Yeah, and now I've basically got similar situation. In fact, what I've done on the top there is subdivide this, and in fact I'm going to dissolve this edge that I created just a minute ago, and then reconnect it along here instead. Although, whoops, I'd forgotten to click both of those. But now the problem I've got is that I need to join this one somewhere. So yeah, the problem is it's not entirely equivalent, the top and the bottom here. So okay, let's move this one back again a little, and this one down a little. Now, I wonder if it's worth subdividing that and joining this here, and then I'm going to just join that to there to give myself a little bit more room to maneuver. His eyes are not helping. I'm going to just hide those. There we go. So what I might do is pull this bit forwards a little and down, just to fatten up that bit there. I'm going to do the same with this one. Pull that across. Try and make that a bit more quad-like, this bit here. I might turn that into an extra triangle, to be honest. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do... It's pretty bad. That's going to work reasonably well, I think. Pull that down. Right, so now I can split these finally after all that messing about. Just sort of making it up as I go along, really. No particular plan. Perhaps if I had a plan, things would go a bit more smoothly, but there you go. This is part of the learning process, I suppose. Okay, I mean this is not ideal. This is a bit more wonky than I was aiming for, but it'll probably work for now. But what I want to do is I just want to make this a little squarer. Let's just do it like that. Shrink those down a smidge, and these down a smidge, and I'm going to pull that in as well, and actually pull the whole of that down a little. So that's starting to get there now. I can get rid of these guys. Delete the faces, grab the edge loop there. With Alt select, extrude, shrink to 0, and remove the doubles. Okay, just tidy that up a little. Alright, so after all of that, I've got a at least vaguely sensibly shaped prong area. Fatten this up a little. Actually, I don't want to fatten that up a little, I want to slim it down a little. There we go. That will work all right, and I might just fatten that up a bit there. Okay, so that's all right. It's looking a bit. It probably makes very little difference to the way it actually looks in the final thing. Hey, Terence. Can I talk through why I'm doing what I'm doing? Yeah, so the main reason for sort of sculpting all this is to try and just make the faces a little bit more regular. I decided to extrude from the existing mesh because it gave a smoother look between, it blends properly now between the rest of the body and these frilly bits. So I elected to move the bit of geometry here that if I hide the rest of the crab, you can see I'd added this sort of extra bit of geometry that was sticking out through the crab's face. But I decided actually that it would be better to do it directly from the mesh. So in order to facilitate that, I needed to create some extra geometry. So I pulled out an extra row of, I created an extra row of faces here, and then subdivided and pulled them out and did various things. But what you end up with is a slightly sort of weird kind of arrangement of faces and polygons and stuff. So I thought, well, in order to create an actual sort of sensible looking shape here, I needed to split these up and add extra faces and vertices so that I could bend it in the way I want to bend it, and just kind of really feeling in my way through. I'm sure there's much better ways of doing this. I'm gonna, yeah, ooh, no, tell you what, I'm going to pull that in there. But essentially, I'm just trying to make the faces either quads or triangles. Anything that's got five edges along a polygon, you need to split that up into a quad or a triangle or a combination of both, because otherwise you could end up with sort of strange looking artifacts in your final model. Ideally you'd want to keep everything as quads, but when you need to add extra shape like here, sometimes you need to split and add triangles and such. And you know, maybe I could do with sort of splitting this quad here into a triangle, for example, but I'm going to leave it as it is because the problem is it's twisted, and maybe that's okay. Going to have to see in the final model, really. I hope that was sort of what you were after. If there's anything specific you'd like to know about, please ask. So I think what I'm going to do is see if I can. There was this extra spiky bit sticking out here that I thought I might try and recreate. It might not be exactly this area. I might pull it out of here. Oh, okay, cool. Glad that was what you were after. The problem I've got is that I've sort of got this strange arrangement here, which, you know what, I'm going to pull this out a little and try and start turning this into. Maybe that wasn't what I wanted to do after all. This bit really. Pull both of these out, I think, a little, and then I might be able to further split this up to create this this horn. So it might be worth me. Yeah, I mean, my process might not be the best process, so take a lot of what I say with a massive pinch of salt, because I've more or less learned through trial and error as much as anything. I've watched a few YouTube tutorials and such, but oftentimes some magic happens that you don't really understand in these tutorials, and you just have to kind of find your own system as much as anything. So a lot of what you'll see me do is just trying things out and making mistakes and attempting to rectify those mistakes, and that's how we learn, really, isn't it? Yeah, this is gonna work a bit better. We try things out. If it goes wrong, then we know that maybe that wasn't the best thing to do, and we remember that better than if we'd done it right the first time. So let me see. Ooh, what have I done there? That was a different. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, so I think I've got. So what I'm going to try and do is maybe grab something from here and pull that out. So now that I've got a face that's in approximately the right place, I don't know whether to leave these a little bit jagged. What I might do, I might just pull this one in. So I've used box select just to grab the two vertices that are sitting on top of each other. I'm just going to pull that in a little. It gives a little a slight extra bit of shape there, because you know these crabs are what I might end up doing is pulling this out all the way around and doing this sort of frilly bit all the way around the edge, but we'll see. It seems to be taking me a long time to do this, so rather than make it too tedious to watch, it might be better to just sort of get on with it and whoops, don't want to do that. A to deselect, B box select. It's going to move that to here, and I might grab those. So yeah, you know, I'm aware that this is taking quite a long time. There we go. And really, I should have finished this a long time ago. But, you know, fiddling, doing things. I'll tidy this bit up later. I don't particularly like the way that's sitting there, but what I really wanted to do here was just pull this face out so that I've got something that I can extrude. This isn't a particularly good quad just here. This face is a little bit wonky. You can see it's all twisted, so I might just tidy that up a little first. So this is the problem with I mean, quads are great because you can subdivide them neatly and you can make loop cuts and all sorts of useful things, but the problem is you can end up with twisting. So what I've tried to do there is just make that a little flatter so that this face can be extruded a little bit more cleanly. So here we go. Let's see what we got here now. See, now I'm comfortable. I've got a nice flat face that I can just extrude and move and shrink and, you know, do all those good things. Rotate. You know, this is bread and butter. Blendering. Extrude again. Move. Rotate. Shrink. It's all good solid fun. I mean, that's quite flat. That's a lot flatter than I was aiming for. So what I'm going to do is fatten that up a little, I think, by just literally pulling that whole area up a little. Maybe pull this down a little, just so it's a bit more substantial. I'm going to have to do a similar sort of thing because that's quite a square profile. I'm going to do a similar sort of thing to here and re-profile it a little to try and give it a bit of shape. So these will ultimately get shrunk down, but I need to add some thickness along the top there, which means I need to somehow decide how I'm going to do that. So for example, these are easy enough to split. So, you know, that's straightforward. I can just do subdivide there. The issue then is going to be how I choose to connect this bit here and this bit here to the remaining geometry, and I may reprofile this and do some stuff like I did up here just to try and connect it up and blend it more smoothly to the rest of the model. So that may require me splitting some of these other ones under here, which is not a bad idea anyway, because, you know, I'm joining some relatively low detail geometry here to some quite high detail geometry here, and somehow I need to blend it. Like here, for example, I've split it into triangles, and as it comes further forward, it gets more and more detailed. So it's going to require a little bit of trial and error again, I'm afraid. So the first thing I'm going to do is dissolve this, I think, because that's kind of in the wrong place. And in fact, that will enable me to split this edge, I think. I'm going to try that and then join this to here. J to join. And I might do the same thing with this guy, in fact, and then I can do what I've done here and sort of spread these out. I wonder if it's worth doing it twice, like I've done here. So let's do that. Increase the number of cuts, and then I can join like this, join like this, and then I've got. I wonder actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that as well, actually. So let me undo this stuff here, and split this twice. So in exactly the same way as before. So that's created two vertices here, and then I can do join there. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea. Was it better to have left it as 1? Yeah, probably was actually. So, okay, let's just leave it with 1. Join that. Oh, what have I done? Oh yeah, too many vertices selected. Right. That's probably okay. So now I can fatten these bits up. Just pull those up a little. And I'll do the same underneath. Still got this issue here. Alright, I'm going to have to do something similar. I'm just going to... Whoa, crikey. There we go. Pull that face up, I think. Just panning around to see how that's sort of looking from different angles. This quad is a bit twisted. No, it's actually not that bad. It looks twisted because it's very slightly twisted. I'm going to make it more twisted in a second because I'm going to shrink these down as well. So it might be worth me just chucking in a join there to make sure that that stays fat in that direction rather than creasing along this direction. So let's see. I'm going to shrink these down. Shrink those down, and these a little as well. I think I've pulled that one up too high, so let's pull him down a little. Shrink that down. I think what I might have to do actually is rotate this a little, because it's got a slightly odd rotation relative to the rest of the horn there. Yeah, you can see it's a bit sort of a bit twisted. I'd like it to be more along, you know, this sort of axis and that sort of axis rather than up and down. So I might just rotate this a little. Actually, that's not too bad. Shrink that down. There we go. I'll deal with this bit in a minute. I'm just going to tidy this up here. Get rid of those. Delete those faces. So the difference between deleting and dissolving is quite an interesting one. Hey, nice to see you, Clay. So yeah. So when you delete a face, it will get rid of it completely, or an edge or whatever. But as an example, if I deleted this edge, it will delete these two faces. So if I hit X and say delete edge, you see it completely gets rid of anything that joins onto it as well. If I undo that, but then whoops, and then instead of deleting, if I dissolve it, it will merge that into one face. So that's a neat distinction, quite useful to know. One of the more useful things, I think. Let's go from top down, and I'm just going to shrink that down to 0, remove doubles. Yeah, there's all sorts of little neat tricks that you pick up just from watching other people do it. I think this is actually not too bad. I'm going to just leave that like that. This is a bit too high, I think. Half the time I'm watching YouTube tutorials or whatever, and I'm like, how on earth do they do that? And they don't always explain it, and they just sort of gloss over the fact that everyone's going to know these things. So I think these streams are quite neat for that sort of thing, because you can actually explain what you're doing, which I find you know, I quite like explaining what's going on, but kind of fun to share the knowledge, as it were. I'm just fine-tuning the shape here a little. Very little point to this, apart from my own sense of neatness. Yeah, so it used to be these mouse and keyboard displays. It used to be built right into Blender, but they removed it in recent versions. I don't know at what point they released it. They removed it, but you can get these screencast keys plug-in, so you can actually download a little Python script that that gives you back that display, and you can just sort of turn it off and on, and choose where you position it and things like that. So it's really helpful for this sort of stream. Actually, it was Jeremy who asked me to do that, so I made sure that I downloaded that for subsequent streams. So this is not great. This bit under here. Let's just check that I'm heading in the rough direction. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's pretty cool, actually. I like that. Let's go into object mode and see what it looks like. He's starting to look reasonably handsome. I mean, the face isn't great. I need to deal with that a little bit, but from the top, he looks pretty good. Ironically, the player's going to be seeing him from this sort of angle, not this sort of angle. So, well, never mind. It's all good. It's good practice. So, what am I going to do here? I need to decide how I'm going to split this up to make it look a little neater. I mean, the easy thing to do would be to just join it down here, but it'd be nice to spread these out a little. Well, yeah, that's the problem when I'm 3D modeling. I overthink everything far too much because I'm not experienced enough to know whether it's a good thing to do or not. So that sort of the trial and error part of it takes much longer, I think, than some people would spend, just because I'm undecided about the best thing to do. So I think what I'm going to do actually is entirely dissolve this. So dissolve that edge. It's going to turn this in a bit weird for the time being. But if I then split that, subdivide, and I might do it twice, so that I can add that one to there, and that one to there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this edge. Now, does it work lengthways? This is the question, because normally if you do an edge slide, yeah, it only goes up and down like that. What I want to do is pull it up this way. Oh, I know what I can do. If I go to transform direction normal, then I can just do that. Perfect. That's what I want. And now I've, rather than having one loose vertex, I've now got two. So yeah, congratulations me. That was well done. But, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's. Oops, wrong one. Let's see what we can do. Am I going to just end up subdividing all the way down here? This is the question. I might well just end up doing that. But in the first instance, let's just join those two. And you know what? I'm just gonna join. See, the problem is I don't like having too many edges coming into the same vertex, and there's already more here than there should be. I think what I'm going to do is subdivide this one just to once. Join this to here. Hey, nice! So got the whole gang turning up. Nice to see you, Thunder Owl. Yes, I can hear you. I think this is the most number of viewers I've ever had, which is cool. Not that it matters, but I've had streams where I've just talked to myself for the whole time, which is cool. Yeah, okay. I may be working myself into a corner here. Ah, you know what I've just noticed? I've just noticed down here. Now here's a neat trick. If you've got two vertices that are separated by extra edges, you can just select those two, hit J, and it should join right the way through the middle, adding in the vertices as required, which is cool. That's great. I mean, this, yeah, now the problem is I've got a really, really wonky quad. You can see what it's done here. It's there's a sort of fake crease coming along like that. The question is, I don't know whether that's what I want or not. I mean, it actually looks all right this side, but what I might do just to see, yeah, you see it's added a little crease there on this side here. So perhaps I should just do that direction instead, just to formalise that crease. Yeah, it's a little bit better, I think. I think what I might do is just pull that out a little and move it up a little, just to even up the space a little. Okay, I mean it's not the best arrangement of polygons, but you know what? Part of the process. And I think I'm going to smooth this out a little here, because this isn't great either. This bit here, I don't like that, so I'll deal with that in a second. But these bits here, see, I've still got the normal transponder orientation here. So actually, this will just pull directly away from the model if I just pull it along the red. Ooh, crikey! The red arrow there, which is normally that would be the X direction, but what am I doing here? Sometimes, see, this sort of thing would be great if you had like a VR headset and you could do this all in proper 3 dimensions. Ah, that's messed up there. Yeah, so just trying to pull that out a little to make it a little smoother as it blends from the frilly bits to the body of the crab. Let's see, do I need to pull it out a little bit more? Yeah, you see again, I've managed to twist this quad. This quad here is all bent as well. See that? So I might need to just add an additional, and the one next to it, in fact, I might just need to join this here perhaps to smooth that out a bit. Right, you know, I don't know about this bit here as well. That's not great, but it helps to blend that round a little, so maybe I'll just leave that. This bit's not great either. Bit by bit we're getting there. In fact, what I might do, let's see what it looks like, the actual crab itself. See, I've followed that around. Perhaps I don't need this bit after all. I'm well aware that I've spent far too long doing these these little silly frilly bits at the front. Pull those down a little. That might be all right actually. I'm going to switch back to global. Yeah, no problem, Terence. I'll catch you on the Slack in as and when. Have a good night's sleep. Yeah, this bit is causing me grief here. Don't like that much. The easiest thing to do is just to stick a join in there, and just to make it even on the top and the bottom, I'm going to do the same there. There we go. That's actually helps quite a bit. Right, I think what I'm going to do is move on from this, because I think that's good enough for now. Looks all right. The question is whether or not I extend the frilly bits all the way around the rest of the crab. So some of them seem to have more frilly bits than others. This guy doesn't seem to have too much around the front, but like other ones, this chap, he's got a lot around the front. Maybe he's not got that much around the side, so perhaps I just leave it where it is and just do the rest of this with textures and a normal map to make it look bumpy, rather than adding extra geometry here. I did watch a really interesting stream the other day where they were doing a low poly model, but to start with they actually created a very, very high poly sculpture. So there's this sculpting mode in Blender, which is amazing. Like, you have these brushes and you can kind of push and pull and create geometry as if you were molding clay, and it's just fascinating to watch. And so I might give that a go for my next model, just to see how the workflow compares. But what they did was, once they created this really incredibly detailed high poly mesh, they then went in and added low poly, a low poly mesh over the top of it, sort of as if they were covering it in like a latex, low poly latex version of the underlying model, and turned that into the low poly. So they went from something like, I think they started out with 700,000 triangles, and they reduced it down to a few hundred. Just fascinating work. So yeah, I'm going to give that a go for sure, I think, at some point. So with that in mind, I'm going to start working on the face a little bit more. So I'm going to deselect those, and how do I deselect these guys without messing up the rest of it? Shift L. Oh, that was a complete guess. What I want to do is leave the legs selected so that I can just hide those separately with H. But I want the eyes, because the eyes are going to be needed for figuring out exactly where to put these sockets. They're going to be sort of down here somewhere, and maybe pull the front out a bit to make a little ridge, make it look a bit more interesting. Maybe not exactly like this, perhaps, but you know, it might be interesting to see. Let's have a quick look at some of the other images, see what I'm after here, because you know, it's really complicated, this bit around the front. And I don't think I'm going to be able to reproduce that exactly. That might have to be done with texturing. And there seem to be a lot of variety of shapes for these guys. I mean, this is obviously highly stylized. Maybe this would have been an easier thing to model. They're not great photos, to be honest. I wonder if I can. I wonder if there's a higher res one. No, there isn't. Okay, well. Oh, how about this one? Goodness me. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to create all that detail. But bearing that in mind, let's see if I can at least do something with the face here, because it's looking a little flat and boring, and it would be nice to add something. Maybe the texturing would be sufficient, and perhaps that's what I should just do that instead. But I would like to add a little bit more detail here. So I wonder if I should actually split this a little. The problem is, because I've made such a mess up here, if I try and do a loop cut, it's going to get all tangled up. Is that sufficient? See, it's actually gone all the way around here as well. See what it's done is it tries to find a nice sort of strip of polygons of quads that it can split into two, and it's sort of traced all the way around here. Perhaps I don't really want to do that. Maybe I want to do it manually and just choose the ones I want to split. So let's take these ones. And I might do that one as well, because I can then join that there underneath, because there's already two. It's not easy to see, but you can, if I zoom in, you can see I've already created extra geometry here, and I can actually join that up. That would work reasonably well, and it would give me a bit more stuff to play with. And in fact, even here, I can join it up here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subdivide that to 2 cuts, so that I've got a few more faces here that I can then play around with and give him a bit more personality at the front of his face there. So that makes it nice and easy to join these guys. Whoops, there we go. So I like that. That actually helps me a little. I'm not sure what's going on up here. This might be better off as a quad, you know. This bit here, I don't like this. This is this displeases me. And instead I'm going to join it to here. I wonder, you know, maybe I could pull that all the way through. That actually would work better, I think. So let's join that. Dissolve this one and this one. That wasn't what I wanted to do. What have I done here? I've gone to top-down view. That's not what I wanted at all. Why is this not allowing me to zoom into? Oh, it's because I haven't got anything selected. There we go. So the period key on the number pad. Hey Zeno. The period key on the number pad zooms to your selection. So if I select over here and then hit the number pad, it zooms to that selection, and it means that the orbit of the camera is a bit more useful. So if, for example, I wanted to start working over here and I left the orbit where it was, it would be flying around all over the place, and that's not helpful to me. So by selecting and then hitting the number pad, now the orbit of the camera is around that piece. So that's what I've been doing when I want to move up to a certain area and focus on that area. Just hit the number pad, period key, and away we go. So actually this has ended up a little bit weird up here. I've probably not helped myself in the long run, in fact, by doing that. So I might, I know I said I wasn't going to carry on working up here, but I might just do a little bit of tinkering. Please indulge me for a moment. Let's get rid of. If making one model takes this long, then how long does it take to make a whole game? Oh, a huge length of time. Obviously, I'm not the world's fastest 3D modeler. In fact, I'm incredibly slow because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go along mostly. So making a model of this sort of level of detail takes me weeks. But low poly I can knock out in a couple of hours. So it really depends on the style of game. So this is why you'll see a lot of indie games with small numbers of people on the team will tend to go low poly, just because the length of time it takes to create the art assets is quite prohibitive for you can't have incredibly detailed models for all of your art assets if you've got thousands of things to create. So I would quite like to have a little bit more detail along here. Split this up So let's do that, and then where to join this to? I mean, this is a great big face here. Anyway, so perhaps the thing to do is to just join that and join that, just for the sake of making a decision as much as anything else. This isn't brilliant, but you know, I've been doing this for too long, so let's not worry about that. Okay, so I've got a little bit more detail in the face. It will enable me to, in fact, smooth this out a little. So if I pull that forwards, it'll just round that bit out a little. This curve here makes that a little bit more smooth. In fact, I can do the same thing here. What I might do is go to View, go to Control 7 to go to underside, and then tilt it down so it's approximately edge on, and then I can just move these two up a little to make that a little rounded. And in fact, I'm going to do the same here, but move these down to just to even up the spacing between the vertices there. Well, thank you very much, Thunder Owl. I do appreciate you guys turning up to the stream. I don't mind talking to myself, you know. But I would do it anyway. Part of the reason for me doing these streams was because I tend to talk to myself anyway, and this at least gives me an excuse, so I don't feel like I'm going completely mad. Need to make a dark forest for a guy. Oh right, so like what you did before, but like all gloomy and stuff. Is that what you mean? I think a lot of those views, you know, Xenomancer, they're probably just people dropping in and dropping out real quick, or maybe when I was offline. So I'm not sure it's I'm not sure you can take a lot of notice of that. Maybe not. I mean, maybe there are people who watch. The thing is, like my Twitch is not showing me how many viewers I've currently got, which is a bit weird. So there's normally like a little red number. I mean, I can see that I've got 3 viewers if I go to the viewers list. But yeah, there's normally a little number down in the just below the screen. Yeah, you know what? You make a very good point about the creative juices. You have to be in the right mood, definitely, for this sort of work, because like sometimes I go weeks and I don't do any game dev at all. You really have to be inspired and motivated to do it. So yeah, it's definitely worth not stressing about. I'm still in view mode here. You know, don't force yourself to work if it's not going to help you. So I think I'm going to pull this out as a little ridge. When you need about the viewer count, I'll just tell you. Okay, cool. Well, you know, the fact that there are people talking to me through the chat window, that's great. That's all I need to know, really. So I'm going to kind of make up my own version of a crab face. And just pull this into a ridge, I think. Make it look a little bit more. What I might do, actually, you know what, is pull these in a little, so that it blends perhaps here. It's maybe a bad idea, but let's see what it looks like. So it starts to pull in a little towards the mandible area. Maybe pull that up. So it goes from a crease to a ridge. So what does that look like? yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more interesting rather than just a flat face. Now if I wanted to, I could make this look really sharp by applying a sharp edge to it. I'm glad you're still working on your forest, Xenomancer. So that's it looks pretty cool. So in fact, I'm going to emphasize this a bit more and really pull that out, I think, because I'm starting to think that's a reasonable look. Let's grab those and that as well. Actually, pull that out, and maybe that bit as well, just so it blends a little. So this is going to look a little odd while I mess about with it. Woo, don't want to do that. Pull it in and up a little maybe. Yeah, it's starting to feel like that might be a reasonable thing to do. Okay, I'm going to show your picture again. Xenomancer. I like when people show me their products. Nice sword. Is that a helmet? Is that a guy's helmet in there? I like that. This is clearly the scene of an epic battle of some sort. Is this supposed to be raindrops kind of streaks on? Oh, or is it just? Is that an effect you've added in the renderer, or is that part of the textures? Be interesting to know. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah, it's a really neat effect. So the question is, okay, here's the thing, right? So I've created this ridge, but in object mode it still looks quite smooth because I've got smooth shading set for the model. Just for comparison, smooth and what's it doing? That's because I haven't got it selected. That's why. There we go. So flat shading, that's what it looks like. And you can see this is a sort of sharp ridge. And as soon as you hit smooth shading, it will smooth out all the normals. It basically blends the normals for adjacent faces together, so you end up with a nice smooth looking effect here. But if I wanted this ridge to be sharp, I've got this modifier applied, which is this one here, which is an edge. What's it called now? Edge split modifier. Okay, and what I've done is set it so that it smooths everything except for edges that are marked as sharp. So what that means in practice is if I was to select, if I wanted these, let's say these 3 edges here to look like an actual proper sharp ridge, I select them there. I go into the edge menu and I say mark sharp. So edges brought up with Control E, as you can see there. Mark sharp, and then it comes up with this slight blue sort of hashed line there, and that tells me that that's been marked as sharp. Now when I go into object mode, you can see now, rather than it looking smooth, it now looks like an actual proper crease, an actual sharp edge. So that's one of the alternatives to adding extra geometry. If I didn't want to add extra geometry, say, like the other way of doing this would be to split that edge and make it 2 edges. I'm gonna leave that like that for now and see how I feel once the model is finished. The question is now whether or not I create some. Now that's the problem. I've also marked that as sharp, which I didn't mean to do. So I'll just clear sharp from that. Yeah, that's a bit better. So what I might do now is just tidy up a little here, make that a bit smoother. I'm going to move it up a little. Like that perhaps. I don't really know where I'm going with this, just trying to add something to make it look a little bit more interesting. Okay, so I'm probably only going to stream for another 10 minutes or so, maybe, just so you're aware. So here we go. Let's have another quick look at my reference image. Yeah, sorry, Xenomancer. I started about an hour ago, so I thought I would break it up into bits today. So I'm going to do another stream later on, about 1:30 UK time. So that'll be in another, what's time now? That's another in about 3.5 hours, and I might do another one this evening. So just to sort of spread them out a bit, I'm trying to still work out exactly the best sort of format for doing these, whether I just do them ad hoc as I was doing over the weekend, or whether I make them a regular session. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do these, completely regularly, but certainly I'm going to aim to do at least one stream on a Wednesday afternoon, and maybe others if I can carve out a sort of piece of the week that I can definitely guarantee that I'm always around. That would be useful, because I can then say I'm definitely going to be streaming at these times of the week, on these days. So if that would be helpful to people to know kind of ahead of time, I've already put the one stream notification on the sort of offline image that you see when I'm not streaming. So if I find that I've got other time to spare, I'll try and make sure that those are posted as well. I hope that's good. So if I want to make a little socket here, I do need to split this as well. So let's go ahead and continue to make a right mess of his face. Subdivide twice, and then I can join these guys up here, which pleases me greatly. This does not please me greatly, and I might do the same thing as I did below and sort of hack my way through here. So in fact what I'm going to do is dissolve these that I created earlier. Dissolve those and subdivide these chaps. So what's going on inside here? What can I latch onto? I don't know, to be honest. I think maybe let's just start with these ones. Subdivide that twice and join these up. And join those up, and I might cut through here as well. Subdivide. Now I've got a problem here. Maybe I should, just for the time being, I'm just going to join those. See where we go. This bit I'm going to need to deal with as well. Let me hide some of these faces so I can see what's going on. Okay, yeah, this is a bit of a mess down here as well. I mean, this is all hidden away, so it's not really that big a deal, but it'd be nice to tidy this up. In fact, fact, you know, this one is all sorts of twisted. So let's pull those across. See where we're at. Oh, and in fact, you know what? It's worse than I thought. Hide those bits. Right, in my attempt to tidy things up here, I've ended up with a situation where I've got a right mess underneath his mandibles here, which is not helpful. So I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time trying to rectify that as well. What a mess. Subdivide that. If I subdivide that once, then I can join those, and I can join that. I'm going to join those and that, and I'm going to join that and that, and I'm going to join that and that, and that and that. It's not super important, to be honest, under there, because it's I can pull these out a bit, maybe. No, maybe not. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that as it is for now. Okay, so with that extra level of detail added to the face, I'm going to do a little bit more work trying to pull in an eye socket for him to squidge his eye into. Yeah, it's very tempting to talk to yourself. In some respects, it helps to talk, because it's sort of almost your it's part of the thinking process, and by hearing yourself talking through your thinking process, it makes it a little bit clearer to yourself, and enables you to maybe make some decisions better than just sort of thinking in your own head. Maybe some people can do it without talking to themselves, but yeah, I definitely talk to myself. So I'm quite close to finishing the face. Once I've done this eye socket, I think I'm probably going to leave it at that, and then do the UV unwrapping, and then carry on with texturing at that point. So before I do the rest of the eye sockets, I'm going to call it a day there for this particular stream. Take a break and pick it up again this afternoon. Thanks very much, guys, for stopping by. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch me experiment and get things wrong and fix things and move things around. So yeah, I hope that you've found it at least reasonably interesting and entertaining. And before I go, I'm going to save the model, because I haven't saved it all stream, so that's a good idea. And I will catch you guys hopefully in a future stream. See you next time.